All right. So if you're tuning in live, I want you to tag somebody. First of all, if this is going to be a replay that you're watching, hashtag replay. If you know anyone that you want to invite over, I recommend you do it. We're going to be talking about mentors. Is it a regret or is it a reward? What to look for, what not to look for. It's going to be extremely important. We got here all together, everyone. We're going to get launching officially here in just a minute. We just want to make sure that everybody's on at this time. So if you can, tag somebody, bring them to this group. We would appreciate if you put a heart that would let Facebook know that this is something good worth sharing, and they're going to share it to other people. But we want as many people on here as possible so we can talk about our mentors. Also, we got a special topic, which is the US elections. There's a lot of controversy going on, a lot of talk about it. We just want to kind of let everyone know globally what's happening as far as like the details of it, because what we're seeing today is not something that we've typically seen. But we want to get started here in just a minute. Just if you know anybody, invite them to the group, send them a link to this show. And of course, we got everybody here. Everybody. I just want to do a sound check. So we got Jace Gray in the house.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
We've got Don Stratton Jr.
How's it going?
All right. And then we also got Dylan Starr.
Mic check, mic check. 1 2 1 2. What's going on, guys?
Everybody's working. All right. If you know anybody that is in sales or just likes everything having to do with sales, I recommend that you invite them to this group. We want to help you out. We also want to entertain you, bring you the latest newses, also do some reactionaries, see what you guys think about our show. But we want to grow our audience and see everybody hit their goals. A lot of us here have already hit our goals, so we want to make sure that you do too. So I want to kick it off now with the elections and a discussion about that, brief discussion before we get into mentors. Of course, it goes into the point of leadership, right? But so this is the scenario, everyone, just so if everybody's not aware, but typically the elections here in the U.S. specifically would involve us voting either, if it's absentee ballots or it's going into a certain location and voting, that we would do that. And then by November 3rd, by the end of the night, it's typically somewhere around 2:00 in the morning, just depending on where you're at inside of the US, is when it officially ends. And then what they count after that is just the absentee ballots. But now we got COVID, of course, which has affected this whole year. I'm sure everyone's been affected. And my heart goes out, and all of our hearts go out to those who have had somebody that has been lost from COVID. But we want to talk about, what's going on here. So I want to bring it over to Dylan. Dylan, sorry, what's your take on what's going on right now as far as like what you're seeing here with the U.S. elections?
It's very trippy. It's a very different year. A lot of it's hard to know what's going on and what's to believe because media is taking full advantage of everything going on, right? Selling and everything's different with the headlines and everything. So definitely a very trippy, different year. But here's the thing. I mean, regardless of the results, right? And for people that are here turning into the show, sales is sales. So I'm a firm believer in not really stressing over things you don't have control of, right? None of us have control over what's going to happen. And if you guys are here to make money, if you're here to learn about business, you're here to learn about sales, responsibility is still going to fall on your shoulders. So regardless of who you guys want to win, regardless of who you pick, just know that no matter what comes of this election, right, your future is going to be dictated by yourself. So that's why I'm super excited for the show and all the nuggets that we are going to share here. So if anyone's watching this like, oh, no, we're screwed. Guys, SalesPorn is going to save you. It doesn't matter who wins. We got your back. So stay tuned. Lots of good things coming. And really excited to see what the turnout is, though.
Yeah, likewise. And then we got also Jace Gray. Jace Gray, what's in your mind about what's going on now?
I just keep asking everybody else is like, man, what else is that? What else is going to come next? We got COVID. We got the hurricanes that are slashing here in beautiful sunny South Florida. Now we got the elections. So am I surprised? Not at all. Am I expecting something else? Most likely. But I couldn't agree anymore with what Dylan mentioned, that you just need to be in control. take full responsibility. The moment you do that, the moment you take full control, listen, regardless of whoever wins, right, the ballot, I already know exactly where I need to go to make sure I don't get screwed if taxes get raised, right? It's just being responsible, knowing how this could work for you and your benefits, knowing how to be in control. So overall, it's a crazy year. Overall, I think that things are going to get looking better moving into 2021. And as we are wrapping up Q4 here, I think most of what's on our minds is like, how do we make that push, right? How do we push ourselves to hit those metric targets that we're looking to hit? So all in all, guys, crazy year, but it doesn't have to be a crazy year for you if you could take massive action and take full control of your life and your income and again, the opportunity that presents for you.
Very, very great advice. You're absolutely right. I think also Dylan nailed it when he said, don't try to focus on something that you cannot control, because that is extremely important. Don, what's your opinion about what's happening right now with the U.S. elections?
Well, fun to try to figure out what to add to what's already been said, but no, like I said, it's about on par for what the year's been. 2020 has been the year of unprecedented, dang near everything that you can come up with so far. From the whole COVID thing to people being locked down and locked out of places to now the election's going out of whack. I mean, what else did you expect for this year with the way things are going? But we're going to be talking about mentors later, and I think it's great for that it was a mentor that I found at the beginning of this year that actually helped me to see that regardless of anything outside of yourself, you have full control over your own life and your own economy. So having that freedom and having been through that and seen it through the entire year, through all the COVID thing, but still businesses are growing, still people are, prospering and growing into new and bigger and better things. The election really isn't going to change what I can do, what you can do, what anybody else out there can do when you put your mind to it. It's all a mindset thing. So yeah, don't worry about the things you can't control. Like they've already said, put your mind on where you want to be and what you want to do and go get it.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people actually DM me about what's happening in the U.S. and these are people from abroad. So, I like to clarify that too. I said the exact same thing, which is we focus on what we can control, not what we cannot. That's extremely important, because if you're stressing on things that you cannot control, you kind of dwell on it and your energy starts to it just drains you. There's nothing you can do about it. But just so everybody's aware, that's a great point that you made, Don. Also, if you're just wondering, curious about what's happening as far as here in the U.S. elections, because we're having back in April, May, there was a law passed that we were going to have mail-in ballots rather than showing up at the locations, because we didn't know what was going to happen here in November, if it was going to be safe to go into locations. We know a lot more today about COVID-19 than we did back in April or May. So everybody sent in their ballots. They were sent out a ballot. Most people, I think it was like 90 million people or something like that, filled out ballots, and then they sent them out. Some of them showed up on time. Some of them showed up early. Some of them showed up late. And so that's what you're seeing as a result of that, is that all of these different ballots, and they're trying to figure out where to draw the line on these new rules that we've actually presidented for ourselves. So that's something that we just have to deal with. And of course, this is a good learning experience for the US. So hopefully by the next time, we're going to be more prepared for this, and maybe mail-in ballots could be a thing in the future. I think it's something that we probably will see, whether we like it or not, that it's going to happen, because we did notice that there was a lot more of a turnout of people that actually voted this year than ever in history for both candidates. So it's something that we just need to refine and make sure that it's a process, just like when we're in a sales call, just like when we're in a sales process. If it's your very first time doing something, whether it's a new technique, whether it's a new objection that you have to handle, whether it's a new type of prospect that you're talking to, it's the same exact process. You have to learn and adapt to that situation to make sure that you're successful the next time you come up for it. But every time you have a new situation, the greatest part about it is that now you have experience, you learn from it, and then you adapt, and you're able to overcome that very, very easily. So I want that to be given to everybody today as advice. Now, the topic of today: mentors, regrets, or rewards? What's your thoughts, Jace?
Definitely to get to any level that you're looking to attain, I think it's always important to find those who already have it and then, figure out a way on how you can be mentored by them. The most important thing is to make sure that the mentor that you do pick is not also what you call a fake mentor, right? Because there's mentors out there that, are doing a lot of walking, doing a lot of talking, but there's those that just do a lot of talk. They don't walk the walk. So when it comes to finding those mentors, it happened to me too, where I had a mentor, thought it was a mentor. All they wanted to do was pretty much piggyback off of me, and see exactly how far I could take them to the moon without really providing me any sort of resources, any sort of help besides just common wisdom that you could get from anywhere else, right? So when it comes to the topic of mentors, listen, I've had mentors since I was a little kid, right? I always tell the story of when I was a kid going to the dealership. My mentors was my dad and my godfather. I was learning sports negotiation at a very young age, learning how to talk to people, right? Very aggressive, but I learned that's mentoring. Teachers are mentors, right? So mentors, however, when it comes to finding them, just making sure that you provide some sort of value to them, because it's not really money. Those who know me, I always let them know, to me, it's not about the money. Like, what else do you bring to the table if you want me to mentor you, right? Or I'm sure it's the same way with any of us here. It's more than that. It's because now we got to a position where it's more of like, how many lives can we change? How many lives can we help? So when it comes to that point, right, you want to make sure that the person that you do pick has the right intention, is ethical, is going to do things the right way, and do background check on them. Make sure that the person, is reputable, is definitely someone that everybody recommends, or most of everybody. So on top of that, just make sure you keep an eye out. So again, when it comes to mentors, are they needed? Absolutely. Absolutely, they're needed. Now you just got to be careful with those who are the reals and those who are the fake mentors.
So now, just to clarify your experience, you've obviously had both good and bad mentors. You mentioned fake mentors. What would you constitute as fake, or what did you see that was fake in
Yeah,
your experience?
perfect. No, perfect example. One who solely wants to piggyback off your opportunities in order for them to cash in, or for them to chime in on. That's what I mind what a fake mentor is. A mentor doesn't care about how much money you make. He cares about the life, on how he can help you make your life better ultimately. So when you know the difference between one and the other, and again, sometimes you're blinded, and it happened to me. I was blinded. I did not know. I didn't see it until it sucker punched me in the face, and then I said, you know what? I got to make a change out of this.
Don, how about you? What's your take? Mentors, regrets, or rewards? Some of us are actually mentors here, right? So, what's your take on mentorships?
Well, I definitely agree. They're 100% needed. Well, let me rephrase that. They're needed if you want to get to your top potential in the shortest amount of time. I think that's what matters. With the right hard work, with the right resolution, with the right persistence, you can get to where you want to be without a mentor, but you're going to do it 10 times faster, easier, less stress if you have one. You're going to be able to skip past hurdles that you may not know about or recognize because they've been through it before. However, I say that there's a difference between a mentor and a teacher, and recognizing that and understanding what that is can make a big difference in who you decide to work with and how. I have found that a lot of times teachers are not quite as personally vested in their students' performance, the results that they get, what they get. They're there to give you the materials. That's what you got. They taught you the lesson. Where a mentor is going to not only teach you the lesson, but then also walk you through how to put that lesson to use right now with where you are. So yeah, definitely worth it. But again, you got to watch. I've had people that I thought were going to be mentors and were more teachers. I've had people that I just thought were going to teach me something and end up being more of a mentor. So it works both ways, but know what you want and what to expect from one when you go to get started and looking for it. But the easiest way to learn something and to become successful is to find somebody else who is and follow in their footsteps. that's just the way it is. So when you know the direction you're going, find somebody who's been there and ask if they'll walk with you in helping you to be able to do the same thing. Yeah, some want some sort of monetary exchange for it. Some, like Jay said, some of us are just, what do you have? What can you do to help the group grow as a whole if we let you into this fold? That can be an important asset as well. The point is, be willing to give something in order to get something. You're going to give time. You're going to give your sweat and tears. You're going to give, your mental aptitude into whatever it is that you're doing. You got to understand, a mentorship is not a lottery ticket. It's not a, hey, I've got this mentor, now magically everything is going to fall into place and get better. You still have to do the work, understand what it is you're getting into. Once you have that down, you know that it's going to take the work. You know you found the right person that's done what you want done. That's the biggest problem I see in the place out there in the world today, is all the coaches and the mentors who say they can teach you something that they've never done themselves. They've just read about, or they've went through a course about, but they haven't actually done it themselves yet. And then they try to teach somebody else how to do it, and they have trouble producing the results because they haven't done it themselves yet. They don't know some of the shortcomings and the pitfalls that you're going to hit on the way. So do your research. Like Jay said, that's just something you got to know. You got to make sure you're working with somebody who's done what it is that you want done.
There's a couple of points that I wanted to come back to you, but Dylan, while we have you on the same topic, regrets or rewards, you yourself, you've mentored some people. So what is your experience and what is your take on having a mentor?
There's two sides of mentorship, right? A lot of people focus on people that have the life that you want and you should follow in their footsteps, which is true. And then there's the opposite side to mentorship, and that's, okay, who has a life and results that you don't want? Like, don't do that, right? So if I'm about to walk a field of landmines and I know, okay, well, I don't know where these landmines are, I'm not going to rush in and be the first one to go through the landmines. I'm going to happily sit back and I'm going to watch and be like, okay, well, that guy just blew up. I'm not going to go that way. That guy just blew up. I'm not going to go that way. Oh, this guy made it to the halfway point. Okay, wow, what path did he take, right? Let's see how far he can go. So there's two sides to this spectrum, right? You have to understand that observing and seeing what not to do, right? Look at people in your life, like literally have a conversation with yourself and say, okay, I'm in a 9-to-5 job. Are there friends close to you that have a life that you don't want, right? What habits does your friend have? Don't do that. Don't do that, right? And then on the flip side, mentors can be good and bad because people don't understand the level that they're at. You have to be open with where you are at in life, okay? If I want to get into fighting, like I don't have a boxing background, I don't have a jiu-jitsu background, right? It would not do me any good to try to get Conor McGregor to be my mentor. Me rolling with Conor McGregor and fighting with him, I'm not at that level, right? So most people think of mentorship as, well, you got to go after the best. Why? That's stupid. If you've never thrown a football in your life, do you think you're going to get any value from having Tom Brady as your mentor? No. The only people that's going to get value are collegiate athletes who already know the fundamentals of football. They understand how to read plays. They know how to throw a football. Tom Brady can talk the lingo of football to a collegiate athlete, and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense, right? If I go and train with Tom Brady, it's not going to do me any good. I'm not at that level. So he has no value to bring to me because I'm not at the point where he can help elevate me. So most people just have to have an honest conversation with themselves, and you don't want people who are too far ahead of you. You want people who are kind of at that next step. So I consider it having a multitude of mentors, right? Whether it's sales and business, personal life, and fitness, right? Get to one level, and then once you get to that level, cool. Find somebody who's at that next jump, right? If it's income, you want to go from 10K to 50K. Well, cool. Who do you know had recently just made the jump from 10K to 50K? Right? And then you want to go to the next level to seven figures, right? Going after freaking Mark Cuban and a multi-billionaire or somebody on Shark Tank, and you've never made a $10,000 month in your life is not going to help you. So I think that the trap that most people fall into is that they get so discouraged because they're trying to reach for the stars and have other, mentorships that are here, but they're not having the honest conversation with themselves that they are here, right? And so knowing where you're at in life, and then an understanding it's okay to have a multitude of mentors. It's okay to get help from somebody who's literally just a little bit ahead of you, And I would happily invest to not take arrows in the back, and to get help from somebody who's literally just went through the trial period of what I'm about to go through. Okay. Again, watching someone make it to that halfway point and not get their legs blown off, right? Go to that guy. Hey man, I see you made it halfway across this minefield. Like, can you help me get to this part so I don't get my legs blown off? Right. And then vice versa, watching everybody else who just went and like, oh crap, don't do that. So I think it's very, very important for people to have that conversation with yourself, be real with where you're at in life, and say, okay, this is my goal, but realistically, where am I at? Where am I at? Do I need a mentor that's going to be up here? Are they going to be valuable to me? Am I going to understand what they're talking about? Guys, if you've ever heard of, if you don't know what a funnel is, if you don't know what marketing lingo and stuff is, and you have no idea what that stuff means, then, you know, certain people aren't going to be able to help you because you're not going to have any idea what they're talking about. So be realistic with who it is that you're going to mentorship. It's okay to have a mentor that's not a freaking super high level person, right? In fact, that's going to better serve you in the long run anyways to get you those jumps. And I'm not going to sit here and crap on mentors because, again, I don't want to figure out what to do over the next 12 months on my own. That sounds like a lot of work. I would rather get shortcuts and stepping stones.
Great point that you brought up, because there are levels of mentorship as well as programs with mentors. So like, who was the example that you brought up as a quarterback that you were talking about? Was that Tom Brady? Tom Brady could have like a program, right, where he's just teaching kids that are barely getting started, and then a program that's a little more advanced, and then you get into like the one-on-one coaching, or, you know, like the more advanced stuff that you need to get into. And he's got that capability, right? He's got that range. So he can, it's almost like a, you know, whenever you see a mentor, they typically would have something along the lines of a do it yourself, a done with you, and a done for you package. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because that's very important. If you have somebody that's coming in and they want to do it yourself, I think that's where a lot of people in themselves fail, because they think that they have the everything that it takes to get there on their own. And then what ends up happening, and I've seen this happen with a lot of people, is that they buy the program, they made a huge investment, and then they don't, I guess you could say they don't really have the mindset to go through it thoroughly, learn it, have the patience to walk through it step by step to make sure that they are getting the results that they really want to get. So they end up kind of fumbling, and in that fumbling process, they end up just blaming the course, saying, oh, this course sucks. It doesn't do what it said that it was going to do, even though it has everything in there for you, right? So if you can touch up a little bit on that, do you have any kind of examples that you have, like maybe on some mentorship programs, or anybody that you've seen that maybe you personally have coached or mentored that has had that problem?
Oh, of course. I mean, and Don will tell you this too. My mindset is everything, and everyone's journey when it comes to mentorship, the mindset. It's like if someone tells you to go and do a strategy, right? Well, what if you have that mindset? Well, what if I do it this way and this happens? Like that perfectionism, right? Some people fall into the perfectionism category, and then so they don't do anything, right? And then other people have the mindset of where like they're okay just going and like, okay, cool, I got the strategy, I'm gonna go and implement. Right? I don't have an implementation problem. I'm at the point in my career, my business, and my mindset to where I can just take something, go out and then implement immediately right away, and it works and it doesn't, right? Some people literally, and it's the craziest thing, just aren't there yet in their career. They have to go through this trial period of failing and overcoming adversity and getting to the point where they can really program themselves to be able to take action. And it's just like you said, different programs are there. Like if somebody's starting on day one and you have $100,000 saved up into a bank, it's not going to benefit you to go pay $30,000 for a high level mastermind. Like, how are you going to get value out of that? You don't have any of the framework, right? If you're at a point in your career, in your business, where you have a sales team, you already have an offer, you already have a program, you have this whole solid framework to where, okay, cool, now you can go invest $30,000 and you can actually implement the systems that are taught in there, right? If you don't have that foundation in place, what good is it to go and invest into a higher level program? That's exactly what I mean by understanding what level you're at, right? So it's not a matter of necessarily the knowledge and the course and stuff. Some people just aren't there yet. And it's very important in the terms of sales, right? Since this is a show, SalesPorn, for those that are watching this, to understand and recognize whoever it is that you are talking to, whoever it is you're giving value to, have an honest, realistic conversation with that person and have the courage to tell them you're not there yet. I do this all the time, right? Like my ratio from going to a discovery call to a strategy call for people who are qualified is 100%. All my people who don't move forward is literally because I DQ'd them myself. And I literally tell them, you're not ready. You're not there yet. And it's okay to give somebody value and say, hey, I recommend that you go watch this video, or recommend you go to this YouTube channel, recommend that you follow Tony Robbins and get your mind right. Recommend that you go and read this book. This book will change your life, right? And it's funny because when you do that stuff, they always come back to you and they're like, oh my gosh, I read that book and I had a completely different shift. And then they're ready to go. They're ready to go. It's like that mental barrier just stopped them. They're ready to go to that next level. So you can better serve people and get them results by understanding what level they are in their life, their business, and their career. And if you have the capabilities of recognizing that, you can literally change people's lives. So it's a skill set on its own, having the courage to tell people where they are and what needs to happen, and recognizing that, and you're better serving that person. So I'm not a believer in trying to be a sales guy who's like, man, let me go and sell a $30,000 program to anyone and everyone that I can. You're not helping that person. You're not serving that person. You need to give them what they need to be able to take them to the next level. And then once you guide them up the chain, guess who they're going to want to come to go to the next level? The person who served them. They're going to want to come to you. So again, it goes back to levels, understanding where you're at, understanding where you are in your mindset, and understanding what kind of framework and foundation that you're at. And I mean, I love your guys' take on that too, if you guys agree or disagree with that.
Whenever there's programs that you're getting into, you got to know what level you're at. Also, most of the programs that you take are always going to be something along the lines of, you still have to put in effort into it. So it's not exactly like a completion of what you need done. Typically, it's somebody that's willing to walk you through it, or even instructions on how to get through those steps, just depending on what kind of program you buy. But you got to be able to have the mindset, going back to mindset, to get through that successfully. And at the end of it, if you can say, I put in everything into this, whatever it is, a program, and it didn't work out for you, it could be for multiple plethora of reasons why it didn't work out. It's not necessarily that you didn't put in your time into it. But if you take that program, if you take that one, whatever it is, course, the coach that's helping you, and you learn something from it, you can say that you benefited from it, that it was something that actually added value to what you're doing and your processes, made things easier. And I think that's the best thing to do with mentorships, is that you look at the positive of the whole thing. I mean, for example, some mentorships or some courses, whatever you want to call them, programs, are not complete. And when they're not complete, you can't just say, well, that one sucked, it didn't work. I didn't learn shit from that. I think that's some just a personal bias that somebody has, is that they feel like they got let down. And maybe it could be because of the marketing. And that's one of the topics that I wanted to get into, is that marketing sometimes can be misleading. Sometimes you have to read the fine print. And I think that what you just said is extremely important, that you got to look at everything as a whole. Like, for example, the journey that the actual the mentor has taken, and step back and see what exactly has happened, verify that, which is another topic I want to talk about, is the testimonials. But before we get into that, I want to go back to Don, because Don, you brought up a subject about teachers versus mentors. And there are a lot of things that I want to point out about teachers and mentors that I think that we can expand on, which is, with the teacher, they're going to give you, like you said, the all of the materials, and they just like, here, you're on your own, almost like a do-it-yourself type of program, right? Or a course, and you have to go through it. Teachers in some cases, or even like some programs, will have a Q&A where you can come back to them and say, hey, I have a question about this. But obviously they have the drive to do it. But then you're going to have those students that don't have the, I guess you could say, like the drive to go through everything, the mindset, if you will. But I noticed that one thing that's very different about mentors, like real mentors, is that they're willing to walk you through it, and they're willing to be brutally honest with you. It's not like they sugarcoat anything. They don't try to tell you, hey, great job, kind of like teachers do, right? So I wanted to kind of get a little bit more in depth about your opinions about that, because one thing that I do notice is that, well, if it's like in a public school, right, it's kind of like it's necessary for them to the teacher to encourage you, right? Because that's what they're trained to do. They have to do that. In other words, they can't be brutally honest with you. They can no longer hit you on the hand with a ruler, those kind of things. So that's kind of evolved from that. But a mentor can almost do that. They can beat you senseless. I'm talking hypothetically, of course, not, not in reality, not physically, but they can beat you senseless, to kind of knock some sense into you, because I think that that's important for a mentor. Especially if you have like an ego, you know what I mean? Or you have some kind of pride, or you're kind of set in your own way and you think that your way is the right way. That's something that a teacher would just say, fine, if you want to do it that way, just fail on your own. A mentor would be like, boy, if they were talking to me, they'd be like, boy, I'm gonna slap you senseless until you get it right. Think about who you're talking to here. I'm the one that's been successful in this. You're over here trying to tell me that you know better than me. Excuse me, right? And they're willing not only willing to give it to you straight, but also to make sure that you have an exact understanding of where you're standing and where you need to be so that you can be successful with whatever it is that they're trying to teach you. What's your take on that, Don?
I agree with most of it. So you're already touching on one of the points that I was going to mention about what Dylan had said, is that you get the students that, don't have the drive. They're not ready. They are not at a level that they need to be where you're at. Then at the same time, you've got the exact opposite of the people that you're working with and try to say, okay, this is what you need to go do. And their first thought is, well, that's not going to work. That's not the way I was. That's not going to, and they think they know it all already. Those are the ones that, you've got to recognize that as well as a mentor yourself and see where people are. But then you need to be realistic, as Dylan was saying, within yourself on where you are. When you go to work with a mentor, you've got to be able to let the ego go and to step down and say, okay, you know what, whether I agree with it or not, whether it sounds insane or not, I'm going to do what he said because he's been there. That's one of the first conversations I have, because some of the mindset stuff that I teach, and I've had people, I've literally let students go after a very first session and refunded their money because they told me, that's stupid, I'm not doing that. Well, then I don't need to work with you. I mean, quite honestly. So yeah, ego is a big thing. You got to be able to put that down if you're going to work with a mentor. But yeah, a good mentor can also work with you through that, depending on where you're at, and can slap you around a little bit and let you know, hey, if that's the way you're going to be, then you're not going to get where you want to go, period. You got to be able to call people out on their bullshit is really what it is. And this goes into anything with sales, let alone mentorship. When you're on that call with somebody, if you're on a sales call, you got to be able to call them out on their own bullshit. You've got to be able to be honest with them and let them know where they truly are. They're going to respect that and trust you for it. Like Dylan said, when you tell somebody, look, no, this ain't for you. You're not on this level. You need to get someplace else before you come back to here. Go do this first instead. That might be a bit of a pride hit for them, but at least they're going to respect and trust you now because you were honest with them. You didn't just take their money for the hell of it, right? Mentors are going to be the same way, only it's about the entire process now, not just the call. You're going to have to, buckle down and take those couple of slaps in the face. Hey, shut up, put your ego down and just listen for a minute. Here's where you need to be and why, and be able to walk through it. Now, the difference with mentors and teachers, though, like I said, there are people who are both. It depends on where you're at. I'm Jace. I don't know everything about his programs, but I know Dylan and I both. If you come in and you buy one of my programs, it's just videos. That's just me being a teacher at that point in time. I'm giving you the information. Here's the videos. You've got it. Go. You want more than that. Now you want to move into the mentorship where I'm going to take and guide things through. That's a different situation now. So just because one person seems to be one or the other doesn't mean they can't be both. It depends on what level you're at and where you meet them at the same time. But you talked about teachers as well. And I'm sure everybody here who's, over the age of 18 can remember the teacher in school that was more than the teacher, that was the mentor, that actually gave a damn about more than just whether you passed the damn class or not, or got an A on the test. I remember my 5th grade teacher. They actually invited me back to speak at her retirement because I had written her a thank you letter when I graduated. And just the fact that she took more than what she should have taken with me personally to recognize who I was and what I had done and work with me to help me get to where I needed to be. One of the most memorable classes and years in school I'd ever had for it. So yeah, there's a difference between the two. In some cases, some people can be both. It really depends on what it is you're expecting of them and what they're giving for wherever you're at when you come to them.
I think that that's very important to know, is that when you're going with a mentor, you got to expect that they're not going to bullshit with you, that they're going to give it to you straight. Definitely, I think we can put a seal of approval that if you're going to get in any kind of mentorship with anyone, doesn't matter who it is, before you get into that, you have to have a good mindset going in, at least some kind of foundation, some kind of solid foundation, where as soon as you get in, you start hearing stuff, even if you don't agree with it, you need to be able to take that in and, kind of process it raw, and then say, okay, well, let's see what that leads to, and move on from that step instead of dwell in it. That's something that I've seen a lot of people with the same mentorship programs that I've been in, where they see something, they're like, you know what, I don't agree with that. I say, you know what, I kind of see what your point is, but I kind of want to go a little bit further just to see what's happening from that, to expand on that. So now the next subject I really do want to get into is with what we like to see as like the marketing, because most of and this is what I'm seeing is, you guys can agree or disagree with me on this, but what I'm seeing is that universities, courses, at least here in the US, they're super overpriced. They are not providing as much value as they should be. In other words, they just keep increasing the price and the value is just the same. There's no promise that you're going to actually have a career once you get out. It's almost leading into the point of people kind of turning their attention, especially now because of what's going on with the quarantine, is that they're turning their attention onto online courses, whether it's to become a coach or to become somebody with a high income skill. Whatever it is, it just depends on what level they're at, going back to levels of where you're at in your experience, into the online world, and looking for mentors, coaches, anybody to help them out to get to that next level. And best part about it is that, rather than spending or investing 100K or tens of thousands of dollars into some kind of career, now you're going into online mentorships, which are showing that you can get into something and learn from someone who's already an expert in what they do. And I mean, this could also start going into like somebody that's an accountant. If somebody wants to become an accountant, now you have mentors that are out there that are saying, look, if you invest X amount of dollars, I'll teach you exactly what you need to know. And they kind of cut through all the bullshit that they give you in school. You know what I mean? The stuff that you don't use. And they're teaching you exactly what you need to do so that you can start a business on your own as an accountant, rather than working for some firm or whatever. And you're making a lot more money. And now you just become an entrepreneur by picking up one of those mentors. But whenever people are looking online, the first thing that they see is that, of course, they're probably looking in a Google search, or they're looking to their friends that maybe are already there and trying to figure out what's their best direction. So we got two subjects. Number one is going to be a referral type system, which is like more of the testimonials. But I want to get into the marketing side of things first. So you have the marketing. And Jason, I want to start with you. Like, as far as like marketing, we see a lot of things, and in my experience, now that I can see it and kind of break it down, especially being in remote sales, you get to see all of the partners that you work with, your business partners, and how they market themselves, and some of them are really, really great. But if you notice, a lot of it, is not exactly what they deliver within what they have, in the confines of their actual programs. And that's something I want to get into, because a lot of people are probably watching this right now and saying, okay, but how do I know if I found the right person? And if they're looking at the marketing like we did on our first day, I can tell you maybe a dozen things that I saw that I figured out later on that were not actually true. So I want to ask your opinion about the marketing side of things, and what's your advice to anybody that's watching right now?
That's a great question. So I'll give you the best example I can. So for my line of work, for my services, right, about 90% of it's referral based. So it comes to show you that when you build a great service, you do business ethical, and you build great relationships, somehow by 6 degrees of separation or even less, you're going to be in contact with the same person or somebody in that same network. And that's what I'm always talking about, is if you learn how to attach yourself to your client, to your mentee, or to your mentor's network, all of a sudden now that network has created an infinite amount of opportunities for you to maximize. And it's so important, because the moment you understand how that works and you're able to dive in there and then start building relationships, start building connections, start getting to know other people in that same network, all of a sudden now you start to expand to endless opportunities that is now endless for you and limitless for you to go ahead and create out here, right? So when it comes to the marketing part of the business, the marketing, to me, it's a great way for you to, to scale quicker. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that no matter what is your offer or what is it that you're doing, you're doing it by the ethical means. You're making sure that you're providing great service. You're making sure that it's exactly what you're talking about. Because eventually, right now, if everybody that's watching this, we're seeing that we're still in the infancy stages of Facebook. Right now, I think Facebook has about 3 billion. But guess what? Right now, in the last decade, we're seeing a boom in digital marketing. In the last decade, we're seeing a boom in digital courses, where now we have, students out there that instead of going to college, they're paying for courses like Virgil, like Don, for Dylan, that are wanted to get more from experts out there rather than go to college and grab that information, because they already know what they want. And the fastest way you get from point A to point B is literally by knowing what you want. And if you don't know what you want, that's at one point. I always say, make a list of what you're good at, make a list of what you're not good at, make the list of what you're good at, and then see which one of those things, one of those skills tend to pay off the most for you. And then figure out how can you make that hobby into a passionate for you to maximize, and then go from there, right? And it's the same thing for me. When I first got started with my recruitment services, I always say, I wanted to find more people like me to connect in great opportunities, because there just wasn't enough me to go around, right? So when we're talking about that, it's just making sure that you know exactly what you want, learning how to attach yourself to those networks, learning how you can maximize every single opportunity, because once you know how to do that, the road is really endless on what you can really take for you in this world. And I'm very keen on my goals, and some of you guys already know it. I want a yacht by my 30th birthday. I look at them every day. I want a yacht by my 30th birthday. It's pretty. I always tell you guys what my goals are, but I know what I want, and I know I could have it.
That's next year, right?
Well, for my birthday.
Yeah.
It's a yacht for my birthday. Yes.
That's next year. Is that you're not 37 next year? I was just joking.
No, not yet. I got 2.5 years.
All right, cool.
Start
that's a good
to get it.
All right, that's a good start. I was just giving you a hard time. So now, same question to you, Dylan. I mean, we're talking about when people are jumping online, they're starting to look at the way that people present themselves, and I've seen some great marketing, like I've said before. What's your take on it, and what's your advice to everybody watching today?
Again, I mean, when it comes to marketing, recognize the difference between marketing and sales, and understand what's going on with the messaging. And then it comes back to understanding what level you're at. And actually, let me give you guys an example, right? So, I had to recently kind of tweak my marketing message and stuff before. And this kind of comes down to good mentorship. And I'll give you an example. So I realized over time, when I was teaching people, I was like, all right, my goal is I wanted to help a specific amount of people in a year, beginners prove to themselves that they can follow very key principles, get results, close deals, and make money, right? Very, very simple, right? But that's what my focus was. My focus was them getting results. I didn't care about the money. I wanted them to get results. And what I realized was that when people were coming in, the word of mouth works, just like Jace was talking about. And people through buzz wanted to come and show up. And I made it very, very affordable, which thinking back was a mistake. I'm gonna tell you all, making it affordable was a huge marketing mistake on my part. And I'm going to tell you why. Because people would show up and I would do group coaching and I would teach all these things every single week. And a handful of these people would every week is like mind blowing. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm learning this, I'm learning that. And then come to realize, I'm like, well, why are people not getting results? Well, most of them weren't at the stage where they can implement strategies to find a closing opportunity. So like for people watching, like I can't serve somebody, teach you guys stuff if you can't go and implement it. So if you're not in the B2B realm, if you're not in the B2C realm, if you're not closing for anybody, right? And you're learning all this stuff, that's cool that you're learning, but I don't want you to learn my skills. I want you to apply them and get results. But if you don't have anything to go and apply them on, so I was like, whoa, I had to do a revamp. I was like, I'm not scaling this because if I scale it, I can make money. Yes. But then I'm not serving and accomplishing my goal of how many students I want to help, right? Two completely different things, which when you learn in marketing and stuff, when you learn in like pricing your offers and things, right? Making certain price points attracts a different audience with your marketing, right? And, but now I see why they do that is because you're trying to go after the people that you know that you can serve. And I'll give you an example. I was on a Zoom recently, Anna's, I don't know if you're in the group, shout out to you. He wanted help with finding a closing opportunity. I was like, you know what? Screw it. Let's hop on Zoom and I'll help you out. And he had this whole spreadsheet of these different companies, people we want to reach out to. And I realized, I was like, man, he's making this like super difficult on himself. Like, I don't even know if these people are like looking for closers. He had certain influencers who I know, like who runs their team. I told him 0% chance you're going to get him as a closing opportunity, 0% chance you're going to get him as a closing opportunity. They use chat. So we're going through this and I was like, dude, I did a screen share and then I put up Facebook groups and I typed in hiring and then I typed in closing and then boom, recent posts coming up and stuff. And he was like, oh, dang. And I was like, yeah, so here's what you do is like do a video, say this and this, literally just show them the post they did and then tell them what your goals are. And he's like, wow. He's like, it's really that simple. I was like, yeah, why do you overcomplicate it? It's like, literally go there. And I'm like, how much effort did that take me? Like, I just did this. I came up with that in what, 20, 30 seconds. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, do you think if I were to go that approach to this specific person that I would elevate myself from everybody else reaching out to him on the post? He's like, oh my gosh, 100%. And I was like, you know that I've been teaching that for the past 2 years. And what's interesting is when people come in, this goes back to knowing what levels you're at. I'll have people that would come into training and coaching and I would teach that to, and within 3 days, they'd be like, dude, I already have like 7 booked interviews. Like that was crazy. The same stuff that I've taught to everyone before that and stuff. And then I'm like, wow, some people will implement exactly to a T and other people just aren't at the level yet. So that's when I was like, okay, I need a complete different revamp of marketing. I need to know as myself as a mentor, who can I help and who can I serve? And I'm at the point in my business and my career that I can't serve people who are brand new beginning to closers, like, no idea how to find closing opportunities and stuff. But if there's people who are already actively closing, it's crazy. I can give them, I can help them with a script. I can help them with a strategy. They make money like this because they're at that level. So the same philosophy goes into closing and mentorship as well as marketing. Be aware of what level you're at, understand what their marketing message is, and ask yourself, okay, am I at the level where this will resonate with me, where I can go and implement? Guys, I have an Amazon wish list of books that I want to order that I have not ordered because I know I'm not at a point in my career where I can implement. I want you guys to hear what I'm saying. Okay, I will not buy a book. I will read the table of contents if I know it's something that I need for next year or the one come until I'm at a point where I can put the foot on the damn gas and implement the strategy. That's how people can take a $12 book and turn it into a significant ROI. Where everyone else is like, oh my gosh, I'm reading all these books. I have all this knowledge and stuff. Cool. You can't do anything with it. You're not there yet. So the message is going to be the same for me. Marketing, mentorship, sales. Understand where you're at in your life, in your business, in your career, have a real conversation with you, and only learn and implement strategies that you know that you can go implement right away because you're at that point in your timeline of your career. Hopefully that makes sense, and I hope that's valuable for everyone, but I'm telling you, it's going to change your perspective on helping other people. It's going to change your perspective on serving others as a mentor. It's going to change your perspective of finding people who are the right mentor for you, right? That's very, very key. So really understand yourself, know what level you're at, and have an honest conversation with yourself.
I'm the same way too. I know a lot of people that come up to me and said, yeah, I read like a book a week or something like that.
Yeah.
And if they can, that's fine. I'm not really a reader myself. But like the last book that I read, it was like I don't know, like 120 some page book. I read it and I actually implemented what it did in my sales career, and I was able to make $3,000 off of that one $8 book. And it was essentially, it was free. It was just a shipping I was paying for. But that's the kind of point that I make with I agree with you there, Dylan, is that if you can take a book and just learn something from it and implement it and make money from it, or same thing with the mentorship. If you can, if you think that this is, something that you've gotten into is a bad mentorship, you should be able to have the mindset so that when you see that opportunity, you extract what you can that's value from it, and you implement it. You use that and you implement it in your own life, in your own process, and make something good of it. That's the best way to go about it, rather than just having like this attitude of like, you know what, I just wasted my time, wasted my money. I should have gone somewhere else. Instead of having regrets, I think that it's important to turn that around and do something positive with it. Absolutely. So same question to you, Don. When it comes to marketing, what is it that you look for? What is it that you want to share with our audience about marketing that they need to look for?
Well, I'm going to take a little more of a practical stance on things where, I mean, everything that Dylan said is absolutely right. Please pay attention to that. Very important stuff. I've had to learn a lot of it myself. The other thing that you want to look at is when you're looking at marketing for a program or a mentor or whatever it is that you're considering getting into, is it realistic? Is it realistic what they're talking about compared to where you are right now? Right? You got to know where yourself is. That's been made very clear. But then now is what they're talking about something that even makes sense for where you are? Does it make sense for what you're looking to do? A lot of us, me personally, I know when I first got started, I got involved in a couple of programs that I probably shouldn't have. I wasn't quite ready for myself at that point. And I was just jumping on board because the promises were exactly where I wanted to be. Well, like I learned later, and as Dylan's pointed out, I wasn't at a point at that point that I could start implementing and using those. I had to backtrack and learn this stuff over here first before I could do anything with it. The problem with marketing is that everybody wants to make it so attractive, and they want to reach out and they want to talk to people in a way that really touches what it is that they're looking to get and what they want out of it. And so sometimes I think they overdo it. They go just a little bit too far, or they show, just the top of the line of what it is that they do, and they don't give the whole story. So just make sure you're paying attention to everything throughout the entire marketing process. A lot of times you'll watch a webinar and it'll tell you all of this neat stuff. They'll have their testimonials. It'll look great. Then a couple of days later, when you start getting those emails about, scheduling a call or why you hadn't, talked to them yet or whatever it is, you start reading through some of what they're talking about, and it's not quite the same as what they depicted in the webinar, because now they're giving it a little more laid out and a little more detail as to what it is they're doing. So just make sure you're paying attention. You want to hear what people are saying on a level that, reads between the lines. Yeah, that it will, Dylan. I don't know that anybody else can see the chat on Zoom though, but yeah, if you don't know what you want, college will happily take your money and tell you what you should do. That's for sure. That was Dylan who said that, not me. It's on the other chat. But yeah.
That's right.
Absolutely where it is. Marketing has gotten to where it's such a big thing. And even, look, you look at the television, you're getting marketing for colleges, online colleges, you're getting marketing for the military, for, all of these things, and they're all doing the same thing. Oh, look how easy it is for this single mom who works 12-hour shifts to come home and take her night classes and still get her master's degree. They're doing the same thing, even to advertise for colleges, making it out to be so much more than what it actually is when you're in that situation. So just make sure you really understand what it is that you're wanting and where you're going.
I'm glad that you brought up the subject about testimonials, because that's going to be our last subject. But and I think we can tie that in with also track record, or referrals. But the lesson here is that when and I got the same advice for everyone as well, because like I said, I've seen about a dozen things that when I saw the marketing, I realized that it wasn't something that was going to be great. So it's or in other words, I saw the marketing, I thought it was going to be more than it actually was. And even when I asked the questions on the phone call, I realized that I didn't get what was answered inside of the phone call. You know, at the end, I was a little bit disappointed, I got to say, because I was not, I guess you could say that I was looking a little bit beyond, and I was more sold into the marketing. So if you see like an offer that seems like it's too good to be true, chances are it is too good to be true. It's why it's important to look at what the track record is, and if there's anybody you can actually talk to that can tell you what their experience was, or even show you proven results of what it is that they've actually received from it. For example, like whenever I am talking to somebody, when it comes to my program personally, I give them a list of people, all of the people that have gone through my course. I say, you can talk to any of these people and they'll tell you exactly what it is that you're going to get. And when I market myself, I market it like to the T, what exactly it is that they're going to be getting. And of course, like one of the highlights, I guess you could say, about marketing is that they're gonna sell you the dream. They're gonna sell you what the end result is gonna look like. And in most cases, not every case, but in most cases, just depending on who you're looking at, they're overselling it. They're over promising and under delivering when it comes to their course. It could be a beginner course that's like, I don't know, 3 months long or something like that, and then they tell you that you're going to become a millionaire. Or even, you know, that's an overpromise, of course. I am exaggerating a little bit. Usually it's somewhere around 6 figures, where you can quit your job and get into a 6-figure career, or you know, entrepreneurship with a high income skill, things like that. But those are things that you need to look for. So when it comes to the marketing, the next step, if it looks like it's somebody that you think you might, that you relate to, that you might trust, that you think that can get you to that next step, the next thing is to look at their track record. What have they already done? Look at their history. Do they have a history? If they don't have a history, there's a lot of questions to be asked there. If they do have a history, where did they come from? Where they're at now? And then the next step would be, of course, looking into who it is that they've actually helped, right? And the testimonials, just to kind of segue into that, is that there's a lot of ways when it comes to marketing, that when people are getting started, like in coaching programs and things like that, they can actually go into ways. There's ways of paying people, paid actors, to give you a testimonial on your program. In fact, there's even celebrities that you could pay to give you, you know, if the price is right, you can pay a celebrity to give you a testimonial on your program or your course. And I think that that's important to look at. And in most cases, people would see that and be like, well, if that person just endorsed this person, then it's got to be good. But it's not necessarily going to be that. If the price is right, they're willing to say whatever they need to, so that they can get paid. That's just the reality of it. So going into, again, their track record, and then next is to see if you can verify that what they deliver is actually what they deliver. So what's your take on testimonials, track records, referrals? Let's start off with Don. What's your take on that?
Like you were just saying, just because somebody endorses something doesn't make it right. You know, that's one of the biggest problems. And I don't know, I got to be careful with it, because I see both sides of this, from the user spot and from the, you know, influencer spot. A JV opportunity is an amazing way to do some marketing and to get your name out there with somebody who has maybe a larger following that has some of the target you're looking for. But just because that person sends out an email saying, hey, check this guy out, doesn't mean he actually knows or believes that that guy can do what he says he can do. So, you know, it's a double-edged sword there. You want to be very careful with that. Testimonials are amazing, especially those that are, you can tell are genuine and, you know, not at a professional studio, professionally put together. I'm always leery of those that are taken live at a specific event. You know, when you watch a group of testimonials and they're all taken in the exact same setting, that makes me nervous because that means those people were there with you, and that's an emotional excitement moment, not a results moment. But those people that you can see, they're just in a t-shirt sitting on their couch with their phone, that's genuine. That I will listen to a lot faster, at least. But then definitely do your study. Talk to people if you can. Anybody that you're on the phone with that refuses to give you a couple of names of people that you can reach out and talk to is probably not going to be overly genuine in what they're teaching, in my opinion. Like you, I have no problem whatsoever saying, hey, not only will I give you a list of names, come on into Discord. Everybody here can tell you they've been learning from me for this long. Come talk to them. You know, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Here's a Facebook group where a bunch of people are as well. Let's go learn. So being able to do that and being genuine, that's the biggest thing for me and who I learned from. You know, just what was it, a couple of months ago, I think, you know, Dylan decided he was putting together something new. He came to me and said, hey, this is what I'm doing. Do you want in? Well, hell yes, I need this. Let's go. I had no hesitation whatsoever getting involved in that because I know Dylan and I trust him. I know people who have worked with him. We've got the background. I know his track record with what he teaches. I was all about it, no problem. And thank you for it. It helped. I've been able to use it quite well. So yeah, testimonials and history are extremely important. Just make sure that, again, you're looking for the ones that are genuine, the ones that are actually, it always makes me leery when somebody actually puts, this is not a paid advertisement. Okay, well, why do you have to announce that in the first place? You know, that I'm already worried about it. So yeah, genuineness, I guess, is the biggest thing with testimonials. They are important. They're good to have. Learn what somebody's done, but make sure they're genuine and open about it. Best you can from a video, at least.
All right, Jace, what about you? What's your opinions on, you know, track records and testimonials or referrals?
As you already know, Virgil, I'm pretty big on them, right? That's how I build, 90% of my business is referral base. When you offer, when you are able to get somebody results and it's offering great service, I'll paint you the best example. Last week, I had a guy that I spoke to a month ago. And funny enough, this guy was looking for a particular candidate, a particular set of skills. Next thing you know, two different referral partners send me the same guy. So they literally went ahead and they sent me the same guy, got on a call with him. he apologized for blowing me off the month before. And he at that point was pretty happy about, the fact that this two different people referred back to the same guy who he blew off the first time that he spoke to. So when it comes to that, just making sure that you're doing everything, even if you don't, for example, when I first started this, I didn't have testimonials. I was offering, prices cheaper. I was making sure I could get my foot in the door, just giving it a chance. And then once I got the chance, I was able to go ahead and capitalize on it, making sure that anybody who then came in contact with me provided great service, so then I could scale and build from there. So when it comes to testimonials, listen, they're going to do the heavy lifting for you when you're not there. They're going to fight for you when you're not there. Those are going to be the spoken, those reviews that are going to speak more highly of you. Because if, for example, if any of you three come, tell me like, hey, I have an opportunity, I'm going to trust you guys. If somebody else comes to me that I don't know, chances are I'm going to put them off because I don't trust them, right? But when you have those referral partners, you have those testimonials, it makes things a whole lot easier. It makes things a whole lot easier to create more opportunities because now you're going into business with someone you like, know, and ultimately trust. So that to me is, again, I'm so keen on that because now more than ever, we're going into this digital space. All we have right now is the trust. We have only the testimonials. So I know if anybody comes from any of you guys right here, I know that I'm in good hands.
And same, we have our trust in you as well, Jace, because we've seen what you do. We've seen what kind of value you provide. And I think that it's amazing, the way that you do business, man. It's incredible. This is coming from, some of us just barely met each other not too long ago. So this is great. Whenever you can have a good chemistry with other people and you know that you can trust them, it definitely makes it very, very easy to work with them. And so, Dylan, I want to just ask you the same question.
I mean, super important. And I think one of the things that Jace kind of hit on too is how powerful referrals are. I mean, essentially that is a testimonial. Most people are looking for peace of mind, right? If you have a mentor that you look up to as well, like imagine having a mentor and you want like a financial advisor or a marketing agency or something. And the mentor tells you, hey, this is who I use. They've been awesome. I highly recommend them, right? Think about how much peace of mind that gives you as an individual, even coming from a mentor. just from a referral standpoint, right? You're like, oh my gosh, I trust this person. I don't want to go on Google. I don't want to have to do 10 meetings and filter people out and stuff. Like, it just gives you instant peace of mind. Same thing with testimonials. Now, you're always going to have those people who are, and I always, it's funny, I DQ them. I tell them it's not going to work out. It's a bad fit. You're always going to have those people who are like, they think that, oh yeah, I've seen the testimonials, but it could be a scam. It could be hired, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh Jesus. Okay, whatever. Right. Again, it comes to that level of mindset. So having testimonials is very important. And they practically, it just takes the weight off your shoulders. If someone's, really struggling and making a decision, and it's very easy to say, hey, cool, well, check out what, Bob has to say, check out what Don has to say, check out what Virgil has to say, right? Don't hear it from me, hear it from them. Here you go. Watch this. Right. So really kind of takes everything, all the pressure off of you. Now, when it comes to results, very important. And I'll give you an example. Like, I'm at the point soon where I'm going to want to start taking a lot of capital and putting it into different investments, right? Financial advisors, investment strategies, trading, all types of stuff, right? I don't want to deal with it. Now, most people would go to maybe like a financial advisor, and most financial advisors make what? I don't know, $30,000 to $60,000 a year, right? I will not hire somebody until they can actually answer the question of, hey, I want to see your results. Show me your personal financial investments. Show me. Why would I want to hire a financial advisor who isn't putting their own finances and making money? It makes no sense to me. And people do it. Think about this. People do it. You guys will hire somebody who makes $40,000 to $60,000 a year, who's not making any other money on top of that, not even practicing what they preach. And even worse, if they're broke and you're hiring them as a financial advisor. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. So I won't hire a financial advisor. I won't hire somebody to oversee and trade my money, because I want to hire somebody who's going to treat my money as their own investments. Like, literally, that's going to be sell. Listen, I love what you're doing. I see what you're doing for yourself. I will happily pay you X amount, give you whatever percentage you want, if you do exactly what you're doing for yourself for me. Done deal, sold, right? Easiest sell in the world. And people, same thing with you, Virgil, when you talked about, you saw that webinar, you got in the call and you're disappointed. What everyone here to understand was he was disappointed, but he wanted to be sold. He wanted to be sold. He was on the call hoping that their marketing message was what he wanted to hear. And if it was, he was excited for it. He wanted to be sold, and he was disappointed that the message didn't resonate with the marketing. And he's like, oh crap, this isn't what it was made out to be. So now he's disappointed. Right. So there's nothing wrong with asking people what results they have, and run for the hills. If you ask somebody that question, hey, especially like take sales, like, well, what's your closing percentage? Are you actively doing it? Well, no, I'm not, and it's not blah, blah, blah. Then why do you want to get sales advice from somebody who doesn't do sales, who's not actively closing? You want to learn from somebody like that? Guys, I cannot tell you how many people, when I ran a sales team, it's the funniest thing in the world. They didn't make it past trial run to be on our team because they were so bad. And then they went out to become sales coaches. It happens all the time. They realized, I'm like, man, they're like out there and people are paying them. People are literally paying them to help them for sales advice. And they were horrible at sales. And so you have to be very conscious of results driven from people. Absolutely. Because the internet, guys, is a double-edged sword. There's tons and tons of opportunity, but there's going to be the good and the bad. But I don't want to deter anyone away from that. I say, if you're in this group right now, I've been reading the comments. I've seen people telling their scare stories from bad mentors, their scare stories from bad courses. Everyone that said that, give yourself a pat on the back. You should get scammed. You should have bad experiences. That means you're taking action. There are people out there who are so afraid and so fearful that they won't do anything because they're afraid that something's not going to work. They're afraid they're going to get scammed. They're afraid they're not going to get the results. So if you're at the point where you have been burned, good. Congratulations. Give yourself a pat on the damn back. I'm proud of you. I am super freaking proud of you. That's the mentality that you want to have. If you've never been scammed or burned in your life, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're watching the show. You're not going to get anywhere. Go out there, take massive action, take risks, get burned a couple times. Like, oh crap, right? Learn that lesson. And then that's how you level up. everyone, you can't see our war wounds here, but I promise you, Don has scars. Jace has scars. Virgil has scars. I have a lot of scars. Okay, I promise you guys, I have a lot of scars. So just because they're not visible, they are still there and they exist. So don't be afraid to ask the tough questions for people, and don't be afraid to ask to see, well, what kind of results have you gotten yourself? What kind of results have you gotten for other people? That is completely okay. And if they can't do that, you have every right to be like, well, I don't know if this is going to work out for me. So testimonials, results, super, super crucial. Have the courage to ask for them. 100%.
Just last little bit there. You can see the scars when you pay attention, because it's in the results that we get because we continue to fight through them. So pay attention to that as well.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, absolutely. And here's the takeaway from all of this. To summarize everything, I mean, you see all of us, we've all been through mentorships. Now, if I was to ask everyone the question, would you go through another mentorship? That absolutely, the answer is yes, we would. If we see a benefit from it and they've gotten the results that we're looking for, we're definitely going to go through it. But because of these scars that we now have a baseline to go off of. What's the next step? For all of you that are here on the show that have expressed like what kind of experiences you had with bad mentorships, that's your scars. I mean, you learn from that. That means that the next time you see it, you know exactly what to do and how to deal with it, and see if it's going to be something that's worth anything to you, like as far as a mentorship. But again, like I said, any of these mentorships, even though I was disappointed at the end of the course that it wasn't what they had originally promised, that doesn't mean that it was a bad course. I actually got a lot of value from it, and I took everything from that and I actually expanded on that. So it was of great value. Everybody always asks me like, did you think it was worth it? And I always say yes, absolutely, 100%, without a doubt, without hesitation. Would I do it again? Yes, I would, absolutely. But yeah, that's the only way that we learn. If we never get these scars, we never actually learn, we never actually advance. And the problem that I'm seeing with a lot of people is that they get these scars and then they're afraid to move forward with anyone out there, whether it's a mentor or a coach or something, because they're reluctant to be vulnerable with that person. In other words, give their money and say, okay, I'm trusting you to give it to me. And it does come down to a trust issue, which is also a mindset issue. And that's something that if you want to get a discussion on with any of us, we'd be more than happy to help you out with that, because it's important for you to move forward. You can't stay where you're at just because you've been burned one time. It should be a lesson to when you're moving forward with any kind of mentorship that you're just prepared. So to summarize what we've gone over here, preparation, that's very important. Knowing what results a person got before you actually engage with them. Seeing where you're at your level, at your personal level, before you can actually invest with that person. If it seems like it's not enough, maybe you want to take it to the next step. If it's a do-it-yourself program and you don't quite have the drive, you need somebody to walk you through it because you have a little bit of a hard time understanding things. Yeah, then the done with you program is probably going to be something that's going to help you, or a do it, done for you. Like for example, in e-commerce, there's a lot of people that don't know about e-commerce and they don't want to take 2 years to learn the whole process. So they have a done for you program that will help you. They'll do it for you and teach you at the same time, so that way you can see exactly what it is that they're doing. Another point is that if it sounds like it's too good to be true, chances are it's too good to be true, but it's still good to go through a verification process. So going through like the testimonials, the referrals, the track record, that's extremely important as well. When you see that the person has, when it comes to marketing, it's almost like a first impression. They want to wow you when you meet them, right? They want to get a second date with you. But it's also important to see what their past is and verify that through that first date. Whenever you meet them, whenever you talk with somebody on the phone, whenever you meet somebody that's gotten the results that you want to get, you want to go forward with that. And then the last thing that you want to do is learn what you can. Once you're invested, or if you're already invested right now and you're saying, you know what, this program's just not good enough, you want to be able to take everything that you can from that program that's positive, that you can say that is of value, and implement it, make it a part of your arsenal, and then expand on it, multiply on that, so that you can turn whatever it was that you thought was a bad situation into something good, just like I did with one of the courses that we were just talking about right now. You want to make sure that you can turn that around and make something good of it. But if you just kind of like roll over and say, you know what, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And you're going into your job. There's people like that, and that's perfectly fine. I understand that, but I would recommend that you find somebody that you would be able to help. Anybody have any final words before we get off here?
No, I mean, thank you guys so much for, tuning in. We're excited to be able to give you guys this value every single Friday of each month. So, although we're not doing this, periodically every single week, we always look forward to our calendar when we can do this again. And I want to shout out to the rest of the guys here, just so you guys know, like our time, even over our weekends up to these points, throughout the month is literally spent, brainstorming and taking our own time and effort and energy to find creative ways to help you guys out. Creative ways to be able to give you guys value and make this show as impactful as possible so we can deliver when it comes to game time. So I would just ask that, for those of you who are watching, be active in the group and let us know in the comments or in the group what kind of subjects you guys want to hear more of, what kind of trials you guys have been running into, any type of hiccups you guys have been having as well. Let us know how we can better serve you, and we will be more than happy to spend the next month brainstorming, come up with creative ways to really get that message across to you guys so you guys can get impact and gain results. So I want to shout out to Jace, Don, and Virgil, and thank you guys for taking all the time you have been outside the scenes of this show so that we have been able to make this very impactful for the audience here.
Go ahead, Jace.
No, absolutely. And I want to thank each and one of you guys and everybody here that's watching that takes the time out of their day to get on a call with us, because like Virgil, Dylan, and Don, we all make sure that we're trying to give you guys as much as value as possible. So we know that no matter while we're doing this once a month, you guys are getting the most out of this. So hats off to you guys that are watching this at home and taking the time to sit down and actually spend this Friday time with us.
Yeah, agreed. 100%. Thank you all for being here. Jace, Dylan, Virgil, you guys are great. And the way that we've come together to be able to put this together is awesome. You guys being here to hear us out and want to learn says a lot for where you're at with where your journey is and what you're looking to get done as well. So keep it up and we'll see you next month.
Just to remind everybody, I just looked at the calendar. We do have the next show, which is on December 4th. So mark your calendar. If you liked what you saw, anybody that comes to mind that this would benefit, I do recommend that you share this with them. A lot of precious value inside of their feedback. So I want to encourage you to subscribe. Also, like what you see, comment on it. That'll tell YouTube's algorithm to put it out to other people. But I want to thank everybody for joining us, and I hope you found this valuable. Please invite more people to the group if you found value in this, and we'll see you next month. If you have any questions or any kind of feedback for us, we'd be more than open to it. Just put it in the chat. We'd be more than happy to go through it, and we'll see you guys next month. Take care.
We ain't supposed to be here, never thought we'd see it. Now we live in proof, tell the world to believe it. Yeah. Congratulations, thank God we made it. They told us we was nothing, now I know they